Alpaslan Tandırcı, who was born in Turkey in 1996 and now lives in Istanbul. He completed his master's degree in Bursa Uludağ University in the Department of Political Science and Public Administration in 2022. His master thesis is entitled Eco-Critical Analyses of Tolkien's Legendarium from an Environmental History Perspective. Now he is pursuing his PhD in Politics and Social Sciences at Ankara Hachi Bahram Veli University. Since 2018, he has been writing for a range of journals and websites. He has the passion and the desire to be one of Turkey's Tolkien scholars. Alpaslan, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand straight over to you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and see you.
I'm very excited and happy. I can share my presentation now.
Yep, we can see that one.
Is there any problem?
Could you share your screen so we just see one slide at a time?
I try to share.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep, there we go. Ready to go.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you, the Tolkien Society and Mr. Will, for organizing this event and help the process. I'm Muhammed Alpaslan Tandırcı. You can call me Alpaslan. I'm from Turkey and I'm a PhD candidate at Ankara Hacı Bayram Veli University. I'm studying political and social science. I'm contributing to Tolkien studies in Turkey. I'm very happy to be speaking here today. And I appreciate the J.R.R. Tolkien. Rest in peace. Please excuse my strong Turkish accent, and I'm very excited. Today, I'm speaking on Ecology of Imperialism, Environmental History for Númenor. By ecology of imperialism, I mean the interaction of a state strategy or policy with the environment. The state in question here is the Kingdom of Númenor. When I chronologically examine the imperial policies of this state from an ecological perspective, I will be doing environmental history. This study starts with the assumption that Middle-earth has a strong historical structure. In a way, this is also eco-criticism because Númenor is a literary country. While doing environmental history, I will interpret a fantastic country and events by accepting them as real. This is one of characteristic features of the work. The hypothesis of this study is that whoever changes and transforms nature in Middle-earth, as seen example of Númenor, is doomed to extinction. Now, let's briefly look at the presentation plan. This is our presentation plan. First step, key concepts. Second step, aim, method, and sample. Third step, findings, and finally, conclusion. This is our key concepts. We can list the key concepts of this presentation as ecology, environmental history, imperialism, Middle-earth, and Númenor. Among these concepts, I would like to explain imperialism. In general, the concept of imperialism, which comes from the Latin root imperium, is the attempt of state or nation to influence other states or nation. Imperialism can be used as a state policy. For our study, the influencing state is Númenor. However, the place of influence is not a specific country or nation, but a region, Middle-earth. The aim of this study is to read together the ecological and political consequences of the advancing civilization of the Kingdom of Númenor. The method of this study are chronology, environmental history, and eco-criticism. I can say nothing happens all at once. The examples given for the Middle-earth in this presentation are actually centuries-long processes. And the sample of this study, Kingdom of Numenor and Middle-earth. Our findings. I will use three main headings to explain the ecology of imperialism and environmental history for Numenor. That are interconnected: the story of Aldarion and Erendis, colonization, and deforestation. We can accept that introduction, development, and conclusion. It is a chronological path. In the story of Aldarion and Erendis, we see some important points. We learn all these narratives from book entitled Unfinished Tales and Fall of Numenor. First step, the beginning of Numenor's imperial ambitions. During these years, Numenor did not practice a despotic policy. They are curious, adventurous, and exploratory. They harm Middle-earth through lumbering, but their intentions are not evil. In addition, cities established during the Aldarion period are not castles. King Meneldur, when Aldarion was still prince, passed a law against cutting down trees on the island of Numenor. This situation is important in terms of the nature and law relationship. In this story, Erendis is always against cutting down trees. Erendis represent land, earth, and nature, and Aldarion represent water, sea, and civilization. When we look at these representations, Erendis defends a static worldview, while Aldarion defends a dynamic worldview. These worldviews of Aldarion and Erendis coincide with the arguments in Carl Schmitt's Land and Sea books. Another point, the planting new trees in place of failed trees. This is similar to the polluter pays principle in ecological literature. Another point, the need for timber and beginning of lumbering. And another point, colonization and the establishment of new cities on Middle-earth continent. Colonization. From the time of Aldarion, the Kingdom of Numenor established colonies on the southern shores of Middle-earth. They established some cities because of their economic interest. These cities were Longdir or Vinyalonde and Tarbart. These maps belong to Tarbart cities. Thanks to these cities, the natural resources of Middle-earth continent were targeted. The main target for Numenorans was forest and timber, because these timbers are needed for shipbuildings. In the Second Age, colonization for Numenor and the Middle-earth continent was chronologically transformed. I can explain this in three steps. First, the founding of colonies and exploration. Second, the exploiting the Middle-earth continent for economic and natural resources, and teaching civilization of the people of the Middle-earth. Third, to establish an imperial and despotic order in Middle-earth. This period, I think, begins with the founding of Umbar, and despotic despotic rule is practiced. I say despotism, but what kind of despotism? This despotism is bringing ships full of jewelry and minerals from Middle-earth to Numenor, and using people as slaves on ships, in harbors, and other jobs. And finally, sacrificing the people of Numenor under the influence of Sauron. I think that Longdir or Vinyalonde represent exploration, while Umber represent imperial desires and despotism. Another headings, deforestation. We have a reference to large and ancient forest system in the Middle-earth. This forest system is located in the region between Blue Mountains and Misty Mountains, or Eriador. Our references are the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings. Another reference is maps. In the Lord of the Rings, the episode "The Old Forest" is said to be remand of the great and ancient forest system. Similarly, Treebeard tells Merry and Pippin about the vast forest of Middle-earth. We also know that ancient forest of Yavanna covered almost the whole of Middle-earth from Silmaril. However, in the maps of the Third Age, we see disconnected forested areas in the large forest system, rather than a large forest system. For example, Old Forest, Fangorn, Lothlorien, and Mirkwood. There are meadowlands between the forested areas. For example, Aragorn mentions the great clearing between Rohan and Shire in Two Towers. Another example, the Treebeard emphasized the ecological impact of the wars between Númenorans and Saurons in Two Towers. At this point, I think there is a human influence as well as evil. I especially think that deforestation in the Middle-earth, I especially think that the deforestation in the Eriador region is a Númenor influence, because the port of Longdeer or Vignolande and this city of Tarbert are targeting this region. Maps can help us to see this. This is our first map. There is a huge forest system in Eriador. I mean, between the Blue Mountains and Misty Mountains. And this is our second map. There's no huge forest system, but there is a disconnected forest system, just like Old Forest, Fangorn, Lothlorien, and Mirkwood. And I have some questions. How could Sauron and his armies advance from Mordor to Midland in the Second Age? And where have the forests of the Middle-earth gone? Forests are important because forests are natural boundaries for states and one of the most important tools of environmental history. However, forests also have a structure that protects states and from enemy armies, because large armies cannot advance systematically through forests. They need open areas. How could Sauron and his armies advance from Mordor to Midland in the Second Age? This study answered this question. Sauron was able to crush Eregion and Ostin Ethil with the great force, reach as far as Midland and burn Eriador to ground. Because of Númenor, the colonists of Númenor cut down the forest and of Middle-earth so fast to get timber, and to building ships, the great clearings appeared, so that Mordor's armies could have advanced unhindered. This is the complete reading of environmental history. And the devastating consequences of the deforestation of Númenor were not only seen in the Second Age. In the Third Age, the fall of Arnor followed a similar pattern. As a result of Númenor's deforestation and Sauron's attacks, west side of the Misty Mountains became a wasteland. Thus, Arnor was founded a fragile geography. From another point of view, the kingdom of Arnor could not become a mighty and wealthy state because it was founded a weak environment or geography. And Arnor has not a great river like Anduin. Arnor has not a huge forest system. Arnor has not the great minerals, just like Moria or Khazad-dûm. When all these factors come together, Arnor has become an open target for Angmar attacks, and it is a fragile state. Conclusion. In conclusions, the forest of Middle-earth have been badly damaged but not only men, but also Sauron's armies, because the decline of forests cannot be explained by lumbering. This is not enough. The wars of Durin in the Second Age also damaged these forests and nature. This study shows that humans, as the children of Ilúvatar, can also damage nature like evil. Númenor, another point, Númenor has violated the natural laws of the Legendarium, moderation. But how? By disregarding its limits and resources for lumbering, mining, and shipping. Finally, when they also opposed their own nature of that, the country and everything came to end. We know this case as a Calabat. Another point, in this process, Middle-earth has lost its forest, especially in Eriador. Biodiversity was damaged. Eriador region mole is more vulnerable to Sauron's attacks. Another point, these things affected the Middle-earth continent for centuries and millenniums in the Second Age. For example, we see the area of Amansul. It's very vulnerable to attack. It is a weak geography. As a result, Númenor's alienation from both its own nature and nature of Middle-earth brought its ends. This is the doom. Brief summary, I can say, the Kingdom of Númenor is an island nation with limited natural resources. For this reason, it's established colonies in the Middle-earth continent and engaged in imperial activities. Númenor's imperial policies deforested Middle-earth and opposed the local people. Thus, the ecological and social balance of the Middle-earth was disrupted. This disruption not only led to the fall of Númenor, but also negatively affected the countries and peoples in that region for thousands of years. Thank you for listening to me.
Bravo. Super. Thank you so much, Alpaslan, for joining us and sharing such fascinating insight into it. You're noticing that the eco and the environmental is kind of focusing a little bit more in this middle part. That definitely wasn't a clear plan when I was putting together the schedule. Anyway, we've got more to enjoy. But yes, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. Do we, oh no, I was in the room last time, go online. Right, we've got a question online. So as well as deforestation for lumber, what do you think about farming? For example, they had sheep on Numenor that needed pasture, and the Shire was farming country. What are your thoughts?
It is a lovely question, but actually I don't think, or I don't research about farming in the Middle-earth. Generally, I interested in maps, wars, political things at this process. I will research this point. I mean farming, and who ask this question? Please contact me or Twitter or email. I will answer. I promise.
Is your email on one of your slides?
I will write chat. Okay.
Yeah. If you look in the chat, it will be there. And if needs be, if you're in the room and you would like to get in touch with Alpaslan, by all means, get in touch with myself, education@tolkiensociety.org. I can always put you in touch. Okay, so we can always be a mediator between the two. Right, okay, let's jump back into the room. Do we have any questions for Alpaslan? Lovely, right, we've got one here. Try to take my job.
My question is, what's your opinion on why the forest didn't come back? The Númenorians destroyed the forests, and then a long time passes before we see the maps again in the Third Age. Forests would naturally regenerate. Stop cutting them down. Why didn't they come back?
Can you repeat again? I can hear it, please.
The Númenorians cut down the forests.
Yes.
But then a long time passes before the Third Age comes along, and we see the new map, and the forests have not regenerated at all. But I know from my own local area, 100 years, you'll get a forest back. But the forest didn't come back. And that seems to me quite strange.
Actually, after the Akalabet, there is a civilization level is down for Middle-earth. The Gondor and Arnor can try something, but I think it is not enough. Especially Arnor and Eriador, there is a problem of population. population is, I think, about the civilization level. It's a hard relation. If population level is down, civilization and cannot be rising. After that, the forestation and the eriador need to be a grateful state, but Arnor is a fragile state. There is because of this I hope this is an answer